He had some movement and some athletic ability and really unique that he would come up, which tends to make a guy lean back, and then as his front legs came down, had a force that would just bring him forward, kind of a downdraft. And the funny thing about it is I remember everything exactly as it happened. I tell my buddy, I said, I must not look very, very good because these people, they're like looking at me, they're going like this. And I said, I think I broke my jaw because when I bite down, my teeth don't touch. I get him again, but I get on him like I'm gun riding. So when the gate's open, I hang on to the back and the guy holds on to me. So technically I rode him.
That was it.
But for him it was, yeah. Because he had nearly killed me. And so I wouldn't even give him another chance. And so Bodacious came around, early 90s. And they rode him a few times when he was younger, but he was a big, kind of clumsy, whatever. But yeah, he was a monster.
As a rider, yeah.
But once he grew up, he just the way his style, the way he bucked, he had a tendency to be dangerous to the majority of people that were riding because he had some movement and some athletic ability and really unique that he would come up, which tends to make a guy lean back, and then as his front legs came down, had a force that would just bring him forward, kind of a downdraft. So I have him in Long Beach, California, and I'm like 95, like probably the best ride I've ever made, and again, it's a scored subjective event, but I was 95 out of 100, and that was probably the highest score I'd ever had, or the best, whatever. And then I had him a year later, and I think, well, no problem, I'll do it again. But the first jump, I'm good, and then he got to where he'd gotten bigger and stronger, to his head back and just
so he's jumping down, and where you think he's going to come back up naturally, he's jumping down and unnaturally comes up.
He got to where he'd throw his head back. Yeah, he just come back with a force, and there really wasn't anything you could do to get away from that. Like if I was leaning back to get away from that, when he hit the ground, I would be splat. But if I do this like I normally do, it was splat anyway. So
and he just came and splatted you.
Yeah, and the funny thing about it is I remember everything exactly as it happened.
Do you remember going?
I got up and I was kind of stunned. And they helped me up and I'm walking out. So, they had a straight. I'm good. I said, I'm fine. So I'm walking with a buddy of mine.
Did you think you were fine or you knew you were fucked?
No, I thought I was fine.
You just thought it was like a bad fall?
Actually, I was fine because broken bones are fine. Right. I didn't have head trauma. I didn't have concussion.
I forgot you're Tuff Hedeman.
No, I'm just saying.
A second. I'm just kidding. It's funny because you're right.
Broken bones are broken bones. They heal in 4 to 6 weeks. And I'm walking out and I'm telling my buddy, I said, I must not look very good because as I'm walking, I know blood's running down my face and I'm walking. And I said, tell my buddy, I said, I must not look very, very good because these people, they're like looking at me, they're going like this. And I said, I think I broke my jaw because when I bite down, my teeth don't touch. And he said, yeah, you're okay. And so we walk back and we start to walk up into the
that's a good friend.
to where the sports medicine guys are. And I start to walk in there and Dr. Freeman said, get your ass to the ambulance and go to the hospital. They come, they open the door, and I was good. And as soon as they laid me down on the stretcher and put me in there, that's whenever shit started hurting.
That's when the blood rushed back to your head.
That's whenever,
it felt that.
I felt like somebody who's beating me up. And so I woke up a day and a half later, and they'd done all kinds of reconstructive
surgeries and everything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I drew him 6 weeks later at the NFR.
You what?
I drew him
6 weeks later. So hold on.
at the
That
NFR.
recovery time was how long?
6 weeks.
So the next event you had was that?
Was the national finals, yeah.
So you had already qualified.
Mm-hmm.
And you go to the NFR and you draw them again.
I go to the NFR not knowing if I'm going to ride or not, because I go and I see the guy that did the facial reconstruction. I see the doctor that I respect the most, and I said, can I ride? And they both said the same thing, you got 5 titanium plates. I think everybody was wanting them to tell me, no, you can't ride, because I'd lost like 25 pounds.
And you hadn't ridden a bull, so you weren't like in everyday shape.
No, I was skinny. And they said, well, if you feel like you're okay, if you feel like you're strong enough, then this is fine. If you get hit in the face, it won't be any different there's wire, there's screws, there's titanium.
You put it all back together.
If that hadn't happened, it would break your face and be no difference. And so I went ahead and rode. And in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have, because I wasn't very strong, but I still rode 5 out of 10. But after the first, half of it, I draw Bodacious again. And whenever I came home, my oldest son, Robert Lane, he was 4, and he didn't recognize me whenever I came home, because there was so much swelling.
You hadn't been home since?
Well, no, I went home. I was in the hospital for, right, a little bit less than a week. But whenever I went back home, he didn't recognize me. And then when, he was 4, but he said, well, if you ever get Bodacious again, you're going to have to chicken out. That's what he told me. I said, okay. So when I go out there, I know I've got a 1 in 15 chance, 1 out of 15 chance of drawing Bodacious. And I'm like, well, of course I'm not going to draw 1 out of 15. What's that chance? So, of course, I get him again. But so there's a rule that if you don't ride in a particular round, then you have to decline. You're disqualified from the next round. So being the college educated guy I'm like, okay, so I get on him like I'm gonna ride, and so when the gate's open, I hang on to the back, and the guy holds on to me. So technically I rode so I could ride the next night. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I didn't get on him. You didn't. So that was it.
That was it.
But for him it was, yeah. Because he nearly killed me, so I wouldn't even give him another chance.